So this is just a simple question for developers out there, specifically those who make products for the Lolita community. What's more important, having high resolution textures at the expense of asymmetrical detail, or having the ability to have asymmetrical detail where you can paint whatever you want wherever you want at the expense of texture quality? So here, this is the original mesh that initiated the question for me, where we have some nice model detail in the mesh, and that model detail will help with getting more resolution with these wrinkles and stuff, so you don't have to worry about doing those sorts of things. But you get to see the lace is disgusting. Even though it's scaled up so very large, we're not really getting much detail. I mean, granted, when you scale out somewhere around here, it looks fine, the dress looks fine, but when you zoom in any closer, you get to see we get our pixelation. Now here you get to see, we get to zoom in really close, and you get to see how much detail is holding up within the mesh. Now don't mind the bind, this is just kind of a test. But you get to see that I'm still able to provide this nice texture that goes throughout the entire mesh. That's going to show the shading. So I'm able to do that and get this nice detailed lace on the bottom. Problem is working with within Photoshop is a little different than you might expect. So let's see if we can open this up. So essentially, the textures that that I'm doing here in order to maximize the full resolution is completely square. So we're using a full 512 image right here in order to get our result. Now the problem is each UV strip isn't square, so if you apply a square image to a non-square UV set, you're going to get stretching or squashing. So if we go ahead and open up this image, I just have something set up for us. Okay, there we go. So here I have this image that I set up, and if we look at the bottom, we have this texture that's squashed in this view, and we have this text that's non-squashed. But when we go into the previewer and apply that texture, you get to see that this is no longer squashed, but our text is stretching out. So in order to fix essentially the pipeline with working with this mesh, if you guys like it enough where we release it, is essentially you plan out where you want your elements to be. Okay, so in this case, I wanted this Lolita section here, and I'll just select this, I'll hit Control T, and then I'll bring the height down 50%. So 50% is just a number that I found that worked well. So once this is set, we'll just can move it up and save the image. File, save as. Actually, you know what? Let's not move it up. So we'll take this, file, save as, grab a JPEG. To save over this one. Yep, that's fine. And within the previewer, we'll apply that image. So you get to see the difference within the text, and when we grab this and then apply it, you get to see the text is, yes, smaller, but it is no longer stretched. So that's really the same thing that I did with this pattern. If you want to see that in process, I can show you that as well. But yeah, that's the question. Do you like the higher resolution? Is it worth putting this in to my mesh in future meshes? Or would you like to have the control, or maybe even both?